Howdy! Yes! Since I donned this outfit, I've always wanted to tackle at least one game about the Old West and random shit happening in them. Now, I'm no stranger to Techland. You may know them better as the Dead Island guys or the Dying Light guys, but I've always known them as the team who made Expand Rally. After all, I reviewed it in the past. Twice! But let's not open old wounds so soon. Techland, based in Poland, made a variety of games, even if the genres they're familiar with are limited, racing games and FPSs. And for this video, I'll be talking about a part of their Western series, Call of Juarez. This is nothing like Call of Duty! It all started in September 2006 when the first COD was released in Europe. It takes the perspective of two characters, Billy Candle, a man with a terrible life full of murdered relatives and lovers, and Reverend Ray, his despicable step-uncle looking for him. Much like Call of Duty, you alternate between characters in the campaign, ranging from stealth to guns blazing respectively. It had a moderate success sales-wise, and it got 3 sequels, all but one taking place in the Old West. The cartel is set in modern times for some reason. On the game that one, it's like a reverse Red Steel, and as expected it wasn't well received and got pulled out of online distribution permanently, the only game in the series to do so. Geez, Postal 3 is still on Steam, aside from being delisted for a period, yet this never got re-released. We truly live in a cursed timeline. But I'm not talking about cartel, even if I'm that weird person who sometimes tries to find the positives in shit games. Bring this back! No, here's another video gushing on Gunslinger. This game was released for the PC, PS3, and Xbox 360 on May of 2013, though you might have guessed what version I'll be playing based on little footage you've seen so far. Can't do that on a console, can you? This was originally published by Ubisoft, and in case you didn't know or want a reminder, I don't review games published by either Ubisoft or Activision Blizzard. Mainly in protest against their workplace environment, though considering the current state of the gaming industry, I'm beginning to think that I should stick to reviewing indies forever. But thankfully, publishing rights went back to Techland themselves, so this is okay to talk about it. I really like the menu here. It's simple but aesthetic pleasing, with the camera zooming in whenever you select something. Love it. Let's start this story. The game begins with a framing device set in Abilene, Kansas, 1910, when the West is now tamed and you are likely to get killed by a car than a gunshot. A man enters the saloon and greets himself as Silas Greaves, a man who is trying to get his revenge on someone who traumatized him in the past. And apparently there's this superfan of his named Dwight who is so glad to meet him. He even has a dime novel about his gunslinging past, but Silas tries to tell him and the patrons of the bar about what really happened in his life, even if his recollections are murky at best.
Oh, I bet you got some great stories.
A couple. Any of them true? A few.
So we start off with him running with Billy the Kid during the Lincoln County War. Silas goes to his hideout only to find that it's being ambushed, so he must save them. Quite a great first impression. Unlike the first game, it isn't a slow burner, it just goes quickly into the action. After presentation, oh god, I can't change the POV! Now I'd let the slider omission slide if it's 90 degrees by default, but you can easily tell that it's lower than that. Of course, this game was also on console, so a narrow FOV is fine. You mostly play games far away from the TV. But this is the PC version. It is stuck at a highly specific 82.72 degrees, according to PC Gaming Wiki. Now thankfully, you can change the FOV by editing a config file in the games folder, but they really should have changed it in the first place. But anyways, I quite like the graphics. The game is going for a cel-shaded look, though the textures don't look flat. It has that dirty feel, which makes sense for a Western game. However, despite looking like $1,000,000 compared to Conch 1, you can tell that this is a budget title by how the characters don't have any facial animations. They're all static, so you can get distracted with cutscenes play and people talk.
Billy looked at me and said, "About time, amigo. Grab a gun and get to the window."
I like the sound design. I love that they use the ricochet sounds from old Western movies into this game to give off that authentic tribute. Plus, the guns sound meaty when slowed down.
The soul would have no rainbow. I had no tears.
He said I was a great warrior, a coyote man, unequaled by any other pale-faced warrior, or something like that.
Voice acting is pretty good, nothing to complain about. However, one of Silas's listeners sound very familiar.
Now, wasn't he the sheriff who augmented his income by shaking down miners and robbing gold shipments?
That's the one.
Colonel? I appreciate that the sound music isn't terrible compared to the first game. Music is just top notch. It captures that spaghetti western feel to a T. It's blood pumping during the game's intense moments, to say the least. So this is an FPS. I mean, you already know it from watching it. It plays like a conventional game on PC, control for crouch, and shift is like sprinting, which seems to go on forever, like holy shit. There's jumping and grabbing on ledges, which doesn't look and feel janky thankfully. It's just that, shoot to kill and receive points. It may not be an on-rail shooter like Time Crisis, but it still is an arcade gaming spirit. How you kill determines the points, 50 for kills, 50 more if it's a headshot or a faraway shot, another 50 if you're almost dying, the works. But that's just scratching the surface. You also have a combo to worry about. Killing enemies in quick succession multiplies the points you earn, giving you that rush for more numbers going up. I actually like this, much like any game with a combo multiplier. It encourages you to get better at the game, to optimize your playthrough, and keep shitting those combos, though you get more combos in the tourist sections or in the arcade levels. Oh, and apparently this game has RPG elements, because of course a 2014 game has RPG elements! Every time you fill this bar, you level up and earn a skill point. You spend on a skill that can improve your gameplay somewhat, like slowing the game down when using iron sights, mashing the reload button to reload faster, or using 2 revolvers at once, one for each of you. I don't mind much, it certainly isn't as bloated as more modern games with skill trees, whatever happened to just rely on skill alone. When you get enough skills in the category, you unlock a special replacement for a weapon, with better stats all the way. Neat, I say. There's only a few weapons you get to use in this game, 3 kinds of revolvers, a lever-action rifle, 2 double-barreled shotguns of varying sizes, and bottles of dynamite to throw at people. Not a terrible amount, I don't think you need more than that. Maybe a lever-action shotgun would suffice, but still. The revolvers and the sawed-offs are a mixed bag. You can go guns akimbo with them, sure, but having to reload every individual bullet inside can be pace-killing. The quick shooter is the better gun. For one, it's a Schofield with speed loaders, which means you can reload much faster, and I just love how the reload works. Still doesn't have much range, which the range for revolver is better at, hence the name. However, it still has the caveat of make you reload each bullet inside at a time, so I like to stick with the Schofield as much as possible. Sorry, Peacemaker fans. I like shotguns, but I also don't like their reloads. I never like putting one shell at a time. It's at least speedy, but not doomed too speedy. Sure, the shells can spread, but they're much better for close encounters. With the right perks, they can get a lot better, but I prefer using the rifle, as it has range, better ammo capacity compared to a single revolver, and just looks downright awesome. It's always great to see a lever action that isn't decked out in tactical bullshit. Seriously, those guns just never look right. I let revolver slide, but lever actions are out of the question. Dynamites, well, they're dynamites, they're just slow-cooking grenades anyway. Though the good thing is that you can actually shoot enemy from ones if you hate running away from them. I gotta tell you, the enemies are quite spongy. If you don't shoot them in the head, you're gonna have a hard time killing them. Either that or I keep missing most shots. Without at least a hitmaker soundbite, my only way of knowing if I hit them is through seeing pain animations and an exit crosshair. There's also enemies where you have to shoot their weak point to kill them easier, like the shielders and the armored shotgunners. And there have been times where I didn't know where exactly the enemies shooting at me were. Sometimes it turns out they're behind me, or actually up there. That's just stupid. There's no way a ninja could be hidden by standing up there exposed like that. Where the fuck is he? Still, I quite like the gunplay. All of these bits and bobs added to the shooting just makes the game better without suffering from bloatness. The structure of this game is a lot different to the previous games, or at least the first game, since it's the only other COD I've played. I don't know jack about the other two. But compared to the first game, it's a more linear game with graphic novel-like cutscenes in between levels. There's no fisticuffs, no stealth, you can only carry 2 weapons and throwable explosives, that's without using the gun's Kimbo perk, and the guns are given to you at the start of each level. There's even Elf Regen, aim down sights, quick time events, and door breaching. Also, it has an arcade mode, much like the original Modern Warfare. So really, this is a lot like Call of Duty than the first Call of Juarez. Sure, unlike in COD 1 and 2, you only play as one character instead of multiple, but Call of Duty had entries where you only play as just one person throughout the campaign. See Advanced Warfare and World War II. The only difference here is that you're mostly a one-man army, whereas in Call of Duty, your allies will help you a lot. But it's not just Call of Duty that this game takes influence from. When you press Q, you enter concentration mode, which slows the game down so you can make your shots easier, with the enemies marked red for convenience. However, it runs out, so you must kill some more in normal mode to refill your focus. If this sounds familiar, it's literally bullet time for the Max Payne games. Even though it doesn't have a diving mechanic like in those games, I still love it regardless. The first game also had a concentration mode, but no, that one sucks. There's also this thing, it's called Sense of Death. When this is fully yellow, then you're at the verge of death, you get to avoid your supposed last bullet received by dodging to which side is deemed safe. Successful, and your health gets instantly regenerated. Unlike concentration, the sense recharges on its own, though it goes a bit slow. I like this feature, it makes the game less frustrating and stressful. Considering that there's health regeneration and the sense of death recharge is slow though, I need to think strategically instead of going gung-ho. And that is taking cover a lot of times. Again, this is a Call of Duty cowboys you're actually thinking of! Alright, I'll shut up about Call of Duty for the rest of the video. This game also has this unique feature, quick draw duels. In certain levels, you must do these duels to progress. You have to do 2 things at once, focus on the rival and focus on your draw speed. For the former, you have to aim the crosshair to the rival and let it stay there as much as possible to increase the focus. Movement is slow, which is deliberate, but the rival can also walk around, so you have to keep moving the mouse to focus. The latter is simple to learn, just press left and right to position your hand to increase the draw speed. Finally, when the heartbeats start playing, it's best likely that the rival might draw first, but if you want a fair fight, you have to let them draw first, then aim and shoot. I love how tense these duels get, and there are a few unique ones throughout the story. It's one of those bits that I like about the game, challenging and very rewarding. Not all boss fights are quick draw duels, mind you, some are just regular fights with their life meters up top and reinforcements sometimes. They're just as enjoyable, so I can't complain much. And that's it about gameplay. Yeah, pretty amazing all things considered, but the story is just as good. This is about Silas recollecting his encounters with famous old wet figures, which may or may not be true in this universe. The game likes to trick you in several ways, like Rashomon style plot points, corrections from other characters.
Plummer was a mad dog killer, and the people of Nevada City deserve better.
Nevada City? Well, I thought Plummer met his maker in Bannock, Montana.
Right, well, he was the sheriff of both places at one time or another, but that's neither here nor there.
And level design literally opening themselves for you. Mind you, the gameplay bits are actually some bar patrons' interpretation of what Silas is telling, so there's some funny business when you go through the levels. Honestly, I can't do this game's story justice, so it's best to play for yourself. It's short, but not too short, clocking in at around 5 hours in my playthrough, and if you finish the story, you get to play New Game Plus, where you play the whole game again with your skills and weapons unlocked. Nice. There's also an arcade mode, which is just a shooting gallery of the levels you went through in story mode. Choose your class and shoot your way in. You get to unlock new skills for a class if you surpass the total point threshold. And I gotta say, comparing myself to most at the leaderboard, I fucking suck at this. Somehow, they managed to keep that combo up to over 50. There's no way I could be that good. I'm sure it's possible, but god damn. There's also the duel challenge where you kill all the bosses you confront in the main game. Get through all of them with just 5 lives. Holy shit, a spoiler-free review for once? That's a rarity. So that was Call of Juarez Gunslinger, and it was a great game, not very frustrating and quite enjoyable. Despite its short length, linearity, and the hallmarks of a modern FPS during that era, it's still pretty fun on repeated playthroughs, as well as extra nuggets like arcade mode and duel mode. It's pretty cheap to get on Steam and GOG, so I recommend it outright. For the next 3+ months, I'll be reviewing a random assortment of racing games, starting with a unique looking one that I should have covered ages ago. Thanks Game Pass, you piece of shit!